number 14, pay attention, w of negative 3 if w of x equals the square root of x plus 4. So the square root of x plus 4, they're wanting you to replace the x with a negative 3. Negative 3 plus 4 is a positive 1, and the square root of positive 1 is just 1. Okay, other questions?
Okay, I forgot how to put square root on the calculator.
Second x squared. Okay. Look, it's right here, so to get to it, you have to hit second first. Okay, give me another question if y'all have any more. Okay, Chloe.
I'm just confused on how, like, the letter, that thing's confusing me. Like, you're explaining it that by 1%.
Like these down here?
Yeah.
Okay, see how it's f of x equals? But then they want us to find f of 0. So they're letting you know, replace the x with a 0. So for this one, replace the x with a 0 and it'll become that, which simplifies to just 3. Because 2 times 0 is 0 and 0 plus 3 is 3. All you're doing is replacing the x with the number they've given you. So what other one would y'all like me to go over?
Number 16.
Number 16? Okay, for number 16, let me zoom in a little because these are kind of small. H of 4 if h of x equals x over x minus 5. So, I'm going to rewrite x over x minus 5, but instead of the x's, they've told me to replace x with a 4. So 4 goes there and 4 goes there. That then becomes 4 over what? Which simplifies to a negative 4. Okay, any other questions?
I see what she did. Wait, so whenever we take our test on this, we have to
Yeah. Okay, look, I'll do one more of these. But please look at the board as I'm explaining and then write it later. T of 5 if t of x equals x squared plus 3. So they're wanting you to take this function, x squared plus 3, but instead of the x, they've told you to replace x with a 5. So I'm going to replace this x with a 5. 5 squared is 25. 25 plus 3 is 28. Any other questions that you would like me to go over before we move on? Okay, well then now I need you to turn back to page 26. Okay, we did part of it, but we didn't do all of it. Go down to right here, number 6. Page 26. Okay, today we're going to learn how to find inputs and outputs when they've given us a graph of the relation. Some of you really need to pay attention. Okay, g of 0. Well, think about it. This says g of x, right? So if it said g of x, and now it says g of 0, the 0 is just sitting in the place of what letter? X. So you need to find a point up here that has an x value of 0. Well, here's 0, so wouldn't it be that point that has an x value of 0? And what is that point's y value? So g of 0 equals 4. Okay, for the next one, g of 2. Doesn't that mean that the x value is 2? So you need to find an ordered pair up there that has an x value of 2. So go to 2 on the x-axis. Wouldn't that point have an x value of 2? What is its y value? 6. So g of 2 equals 6. Okay, the bottom one is a little bit different. How is it different? Right, it gives you the output and not the input. So it gives you the y value to start with, and you have to find its corresponding x value. So which point up there has a y value of negative 2? This one, right? Because to get to that, you have to go down 2, but before going down 2, you would have had to have gone over negative 6, though. So negative 6. now move up to the top right of this page. Use the graph of h of x to find h of 1, then write the equation of the line using function notation. So h of 1. That 1 is sitting in the place of what letter? X. So on the x-axis, if I go to positive 1, to get to the line, don't I have to move up 1, 2, 3? So h of 1 equals 3. Alright, now, they want you to write the equation of this line. Normally, we write equations of lines like this. Right? But they want you to use function notation, which means change the y to h of x equals. Okay, so now to finish out the equation of this line, we need to know what the m is, and we need to know what the b is. What is the definition of b? The y-intercept. Where is the y-intercept? 1. So plus 1 goes in the b place. What is the definition of m? Slope. How do you find the slope now that we have 2 lines or 2 points plotted? Right. Don't you have to rise 2 and run 1? So 2 over 1. And there's your equation of that line. Okay, flip to the next page. We didn't do set 3. Use the graph of g of x to answer the questions below. Alright, g of negative 1. That negative 1 is sitting in the place of what letter? X. So that means on the x-axis, go to negative 1, which would be left 1. To get to the graph, you now have to move where? Up 1. So g of negative 1 equals 1. Alright, for number 2, it says g of blank equals 3. So this time they gave us the y value. So on the y-axis, you need to go up 3. To get to the graph, where would you have to go? Right 2, or you could have gone left 2. Don't both of those points have a y value of 3? So there's 2 possible answers, 2 and negative 2. Okay, now flip to page 28, and I want you to try those 2 problems on your own on page 28. Use the graph of h of x to find h of negative 4. So that means we're looking for the ordered pair up here that has a what? X value of negative 4. So if I go on the x-axis left 4, doesn't that point have an x value of negative 4? What is its y value? So h of negative 4 equals 0. Now I'm looking for a point that has a what? A y value of 5. So I need to go up the y to 5. So wouldn't that point have a y value of 5? What is its x value? 2. So h of 2 equals 5. Alright, number 3. Use the graph of f of x to find f of 1, then write the equation. Okay, well f of 1 means the x value is 1. So I go to 1 on the x-axis, and then to get to the line I have to go up 1, 2, 3. And then for the equation, what did y'all get for the slope? Okay, well let's first mark our y-intercept at 6, right? So your b is 6. And then let's mark the point we just found at 1, 3. To get from this point to this point, don't you have to go down 1, 2, 3, right 1? So down 3, right 1. Or you don't have to put negative 3 over 1. You could just put negative 3. The 1 is understood. Okay, now turn to page 29, the one we were just working on a few minutes ago, and try to finish the bottom of it, 17 through 21. Okay, number 17, h of negative 2 means the x value is negative 2. So on the x-axis, if we go left 2, where do you have to go on the y-axis to get to that line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So since it was down 7, negative 7. Okay, h of 0 means on the x-axis go to 0, and then how do you get to the line? Down 3, so negative 3. h of x equals negative 1 means on the y-axis go down 1, and now on the x, how do you get to the line? Right 1. And then h of x equals 3 means you have to go up 3 on the y, and then to get to the x, you have to go right 3. Use the graph of h of x to write the equation of the line as a function. So h of x equals what? Well, what is the It can't be negative because your line's going up. 2x? Okay, let's pick 2 points. Let's pick the y-intercept 1 since we need it. It's a negative 3. And then to find our other point, let's just pick this one because doesn't that one cross through nicely? To get from that point to that point, don't you rise 2 and run 1? So 2 over 1 or just 2. You don't have to write the over 1. It doesn't matter what point you pick because think about it. Look, if I'd have picked this point and went from there to there, I would have gone up 4 over 2. And 4 over 2 is still just 2. You just have to reduce it if your points are further apart. Okay, now go to page 30 and try that page by yourself. Video on. G of negative 6 lets me know the input is negative 6, which is the x value. So if I go to negative 6, to get to that line, I have to go down 2. So the output is negative 2. Is that what you got? Okay, for g of negative 2, that means the input, the x value is negative 2. Well, when I go to negative 2 on the x, where do I have to go? Nowhere. It's at 0. G of x equals 2 means on the y-axis go to 2, and then to get to that line, I have to go right 2, correct? And then g of x equals negative 1 means on the y-axis to go down 1. To get to the line, I must go left 1, 2, 3, 4, so negative 4. And then use the graph of g of x to write the equation. G of x equals what? 1/2, because think about it. If you mark this point and this point, don't you have to rise 1, run 2, so 1 over 2? And then what's your y-intercept? Plus 1, because it's at positive 1. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, as long as you get 1/2, which is the same thing as 1/2. You just didn't reduce it. Okay, now I want you working on page 31. I will do one with you, but this is nothing new. We already did these on page 29 today. G of A equals 4A minus 5, so find G of negative 1. Aren't they basically just telling you, instead of A, plug in a negative 1 for it? So 4 times negative 1 minus 5 equals what? Negative 9. So G of negative 1 equals negative 9. When your input is negative 1, your output is negative 9. You need to work on the remaining 11 on this page until I say to switch out.